Obist again. I'm still with Marty. We're going to make another one because I've got about 10 minutes of memory left on my phone. So yeah, we're just having a bit of a chat. We were right, Marty.
Yeah, we're in the warm now. It just started snowing on us when we were in the park earlier. We were discussing the fact that we all need hope, particularly for this new year, because we really don't know what will take place. And we all have different world views of how we view the world. Some of us from the Christian perspective, worldview, some from different worldviews. But whatever the case, we need hope, and we need hope for humanity. And as far as I can see, from my perspective, there is only two hopes on this situation. The first is the biblical rapture of the church, which will take place at some point, and the second is the QAnon plan. Now, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if there's any substance to it, but certainly that will play out. And if Donald Trump gets a second term and rounds up the evil cabal, then we'll all be very happy, and this thing could be over very quick. However, if Biden gets in for January the 20th, I think you better strap your seatbelts in, because we're in for a bumpy ride. What do you think, Lee?
I think exactly right. I've not looked too much into the QAnon plan or anything like that. It's I'm more concerned about what's actually happening locally and around me. Obviously, I'll take a bigger interest in the country, but that's probably a bit too much for me, in fairness. But I'm aware of it. I understand what it is, and I'm of the firm belief, as you well know, I've said it enough times on my videos, that this is it is a global conspiracy. I'm aware. That's obvious to me. You can see it. In terms of hope, yes, the rapture, or like I say, somehow the turning of what's going on now. What we've just been speaking about, just one of the things that has really surprised me over the last few months is how willing people were to go along with it. I'd have never have thought that of the British people. I'd have just thought, you'd have had 10% who would have been easily led, gullible. They're probably weak-minded. They're used to being told what to do. They don't like to think for themselves. But most people, they're kind of like fairly switched on. They're functioning. Their old jobs down, and they can see or smell a bloody liar. And when things, that phrase again, when things don't add up. But apparently not. Apparently they're just quite happy to be dragged along with it. Maybe it's because it comes down to that word that you used earlier on, discernment. Maybe people don't actually realise where it's headed. So even though they know, they don't actually believe what they're being told, they're still prepared not to challenge it, because they don't actually know what the end game is. Well, I think we have got, whether we're right or wrong, we believe we know what the end game is. As far as this year is concerned, who can say? If nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow. We ain't got a crystal ball. It's vanity to think what tomorrow's going to bring. But the way things have gone over the last 8 or 9 months, and the way people behaving, watching human behaviour, it's obvious things are going to get harsher. I wouldn't be surprised if there isn't a complete, total and utter lockdown. In other words, nothing's going to be open except power stations, hospitals, things such as that. But every single business, every single shop, basically make do with what you've got in your larders, because nothing, you're going to be locked. And if you're on the street, the spot you're on the streets, I can see something perhaps moving towards that, because they've got the excuse, the death spreading, the ingrowing townhouses are out of control, we've been pushed into it, you've had your New Year, you've had your Christmas, and I think that's that's a possibility. I think, especially if Biden gets in, I think it'll be your exemptions. You can stick them, right? You will muzzle up like a slave.
Yeah.
It's your form of compliance. Put your shackles on.
Yeah.
Say yes and massa. Get that mask on your face, and that's telling us lots that we own you. Whether people want to argue, you know, we're all owned anyway and always have been. That's a completely different philosophical point. But I think I'm going to say from probably March, don't matter what you do, where you go, you will going to have to be muzzled up. And I don't know, probably won't happen in your private dwellings. But I would imagine there's plenty of people stupid enough sit there watching the television with a muzzle on them. But I honestly think this year we're going to see. I don't think the economy's, because I strongly believe part of this is resetting of the economy. I don't think it's happened as fast as what they imagined. I think there's some dissent building, so you need to get this, from their point of view, get this through as quick as you can. It'll be a total and utter, perhaps even patrolled by the military, but nobody will be allowed out.
Yeah.
Get your food in there, get your toilet rolls in.
Anything's possible.
Yeah, anything's possible.
Anything is possible.
Yeah, and the people will go along with it.
And we mentioned discernment, and attitude of heart, I think, is another area, because you can present facts to people. If they're in a cult, we mentioned Jim Jones' cult, and if you had talked to some of these people that perished and mentioned that you will all end up dying, they wouldn't have believed it.
No.
They would not have believed it, and they'd have resisted what you were saying. So it's an attitude of heart. We can present many facts and truthful things about this scam, but if the heart doesn't want to receive it, there's nothing that can be done. And the other thing is how the brainwashing, the mind control, over not just over the ingrown toenails, but over decades of how people have been brought up with the media, has dumbed them down and dulled people, particularly the youth, unable to concentrate, unable to read books. You try holding a conversation with even a person in their 20s, 30s. After a period of time, they become restless, looking from side to side. They pick their phone up, they go in the phone, start flicking around, stand up, pace up and down. Something isn't right. How people have been so brainwashed in the very real sense. True brainwashing is you don't even detect it's happened to you. And they've just put their trust, misplaced, in the government, in what they're being told, and they're not researching it, and they've made their mind up. For many, there are still people to win over, and whatever happens this year, we need to keep doing what we are doing. If we're going on the protests, go on the protests. If we're giving leaflets, keep giving the leaflets. If we speak to people on the street, in the supermarket, wherever, keep doing it. And don't let them get you down. Try not to.
It gets me down.
Because we're all been psychologically terrorised for going on a year, and this has to end. You know, because at some point, even truthers are going to crack. They will begin to crack. We know people out there have been killing themselves. And suicide rates, who knows how bad it really is. And it's going to affect people, particularly if things get really bad and they start isolating us from society, shutting us out, unless we have the ingrown toenails passports and all the rest. So
it's a yellow star of David, isn't it? Again,
there is hope, and if people have any other hopes, please put them in the comment section.
Always add to the
comments. Because we want to read. We all need, we want the best for humanity. Whether we agree on every point or not, we genuinely want the best.
I've learnt a lot from the comments. I always read the comments. Look, so unless something is particularly offensive, then I always stick a like on and a love art, because I appreciate what people say. And I've learnt a lot, and it's pushed me into researching other areas and finding out other things. And I don't claim to be any kind of authority, an expert on this. Like I said in one of my previous videos, I'm a guy. I've had my world turned upside down just at the point when I was starting to have optimism, and this has deeply affected me, because although I know theoretically I can go back to my mum and dad's, the truth of this is really I can't. It's 2-bedroom ex-council house. I've just 2 years ago moving into I know life ain't all about material things. It's not. You can't get too tied up with the material stuff, but I can't just keep restarting my life every few years. I can't keep going back to my mum and dad's. I can't, not at 52 years of age, and getting rid of everything again and starting over. You know, I know people said life was never going to be easy. I never expected an easy ride, but you can't keep having the rug pulled away from you all the time. So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty down about it.
Yeah. It's got to end. This all has to end. We can't keep being under this oppression, this heaviness, this darkness, this evil. It has to lift at some point, and so
which is it goes back to what we were talking about spell. I mean, it really is like some kind of spell, and at this stage, after all that we've seen, all that we've experienced, if people can't see that it doesn't, it's not what we're being told it is, then there really is no hope. I'm honestly surprised. 7 out of 10 people haven't turned around and said, "Well, this is silly." But rather than saying, "Oh well, if you keep going along with it, it'll be over in no time," and it's the people who are complaining about it that are slowing it all down. But it's just not, is it? And that ain't because we've got a particular axe to grind or an agenda. It's just I think we can see what's happening. This is what's getting us angry and passionate. We just feel powerless because a great many people can't. And you want the best for people. You don't want this happening to them. It will end up like Chinese communist state. Who'd want that on somebody, especially your own country?
Absolutely.
Oh well. Should we leave it there?
Yeah, we'll leave it.
Yeah, I think it's still got a bit of me left.
God bless. Keep us in your prayers. We all need each other.
We do.
God bless you.